we have to learn to let go and allow life to happen through us without any judgments, without any preconceived notions, just allowing life to be what it is.
We choose between the left and right, the ups and downs, the darkness or the light. We're finding who we are.
There's only one reform in life. When you and I stop living from our heads, you and I are here for one very solid reason, and that is to learn to be loving.
We're finding our way together, just you and me.
Namaste. Welcome to Aspire. We're going to be continuing in our effort to understand the great art of giving. Gibran gives us tremendous insight on it, and we're going to spend a whole program on giving.
Until we finally sing. When we seek, we find the answers. Life's a dance, and we're all dancers. Aspire. Just believe. We can be everything. Aspire.
The Prophet. Of this most famous and treasured of all his works, Gibran has said, "While I was writing the Prophet was writing me." Born in Lebanon in 1883, the man who would become a famous poet, philosopher, and artist was exiled from his homeland for speaking out against the Turkish Empire. He studied art in Paris, then settled in New York City, where he remained until his death at age 48. But the Prophet lives on. Over the years, it has touched the lives of millions, a testament to the insight and wisdom of the man, Kahlil Gibran, who was never wholly and entirely of this world.
Then said a rich man, "Speak to us of giving." And he answered, "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you keep and guard for fear you may need them tomorrow?"
We're here in Del Mar at the racetrack, obviously, a place where people come to bet money, to try to get more than what it is that they give, to try to break a kind of universal law that it's impossible to break. The racetrack is a very interesting place. You meet a lot of very interesting people, people who have no idea what it is to give. We're going to be working on Gibran's insight on giving, and we decided to come to a racetrack because it's the opposite of what most people would think of as a place where one goes to understand the elements of giving. The people who come here are not interested in giving. The people who come here are only interested in receiving. In fact, getting more than what they give. And maybe this place represents a whole attitude, a whole consciousness that's deeply woven into the fabric of what we believe in and what we think about all day long in our life. In coming here, you get a real feeling for human greed. You know, greed is something that we all have to live with within ourselves because we all have elements of greed. How we deal with it and how we overcome it is a very important thing. You see, a lot of the things that we think of as not being important are very important. And the single most important thing in life that is very sacred is how you and I give. Giving is very, very important. I have a teaching for you. Let me give you the threshold of a deep spirituality that will change your whole life if you live this. If you ignore this, of course, then nothing will change. What I'm about to say to you and the teaching I want to share with you is nonsensical. It's illogical, and nobody believes in it. Very few people ever take the time to meditate upon it or to have insight into it. So let me share this with you. Giving. The reason we do it is simply because we can. Not because we should, and not because we'll be a better person, or the old metaphysical idea that you give to get something back, or that you might get something more than what you give. That's old metaphysics, and it's garbage. You give because you can. Not for reward, not for merit, not for any other reason except because I can. That is a very difficult thing for the human mind to grasp. In fact, the human mind will not grasp it. The only thing the human mind is interested in is how can I get more for less? So we come to places like this. Do you know what the odds are of you winning here, an exacta, where you pick 3 races and you pick who will come in first, second, and third? Talking to an official here, they said 1 in 400,000 makes it. The odds are pretty high that you won't do it. But we will bet everything that we have, and many people, betting is an illness, to try to get something for nothing, when all we have to do is spend a little time within ourselves and find that which is within us. And it is not a bet, it's a sure thing. We do a lot in our life to try to get more than what we have. We search outside of ourselves for the things that are unimportant in an effort to try to find some sort of significance in ourselves. Let me read to you from Gibran. His work on giving, I think, is magnificent. And you know, every great spiritual master tried to give us insight on giving. In his book on the prophet, Gibran puts it this way. Then said the rich man, speak to us of giving, and he answered, you give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you keep and guard for fear that you may need them tomorrow? What are our possessions? They are things that we think will make us happy, will make us secure. Let me tell you something. Until you and I are willing to give up everything for what we are, we will never find that even the things that we have will bring us any kind of love or security or insight. We are conned into the belief that if we have more money, more objects, and more things in our life, that we will be happier people. Please don't think, though, that I'm teaching you the virtues of poverty. I'm not saying that being a poor person is going to make you a better person either. I'm just saying keeping things in their right place. I like what Jesus had to say about it. He said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. That's a perfect teaching. Seek the thing that is most important within us first, and the other things will be there. When the wealth within you is more important than the wealth around you, you will find that everything in life is trying to shower you with blessings and insights. And it's very important that we understand that. Gibran is right. It's only when we give of ourselves that we're truly giving. To give any less than ourselves is just to give, well, poverty, to give weakness, to give worry and anxiety to our life. It takes a tremendous amount of insight to give simply because you can. I'm going to go away just for a moment. We'll be right back with more insight on giving. Don't go away. Welcome back to Aspire. We're working on giving. I want you to understand that giving is something very sacred, very spiritual, as I said to you before. But more than that, it's illogical. I want you to look at giving for a moment. Most of us cannot give because the logic of giving does not formulate a reason for our giving. When we do anything, we have to have a reason for it. And the reason for our giving to us is to get more or to get something for our giving. That keeps us in our head. The object of spirituality, the object of meditation, is to get us out of our head. The old saying that meditation is not what you think. Giving is not what you think. If I give with what I think, I will give for a reason, for the merit, or for some outer show. Let me give to you the wisdom and the enlightenment of Gibran on giving here, again from his book on the prophet. This is awesome stuff. There are those, Gibran says, who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gift unwholesome. Powerful insight. Their hidden desire makes their gift unwholesome. We have many people who give simply for the idea of trying to get a tax break, or they're giving because they want to say they gave to this cause. That's not the true essence of giving. Now it has become a reason. There has become some logic in it. Please remember, where there is logic, there is no heart. I lose my heart when I go for logic. When I go for logic and I think logically that what I'm doing is going to get me somewhere, I lose the rhythm of life. Life has no destination and no end result. Understand that. Life simply flows. And if I think with my head, I will never be able to flow with life because my mind is always looking for destinations. My mind is always looking for a reason why I do anything. It is a courageous person, outlandishly courageous, that simply does things because they can. That is the awesome part of our heart that most people miss. The heart is there to make us totally illogical. If you're afraid of being out of control, if you're afraid of the idea that what you are doing might not get you something that you think you need, then their whole spirituality will be deeply limited. Many people limit their spirituality to metaphysics. Metaphysics says such things: give to get, give that you might receive. That is not the teaching of a Buddha. That is not the teaching of a Christ or a Lao Tzu. They say, give because you can, with no idea of merit. And Gibran is saying the same thing. He's saying give selflessly, just because you can. Let me continue on with this, because this is a powerful teaching. And there are those who give little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life, and their coffers are never empty. There are those who give with joy, that their joy is their reward. And there are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. And there are those who give and know not the pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these, God speaks. From behind their eyes, He smiles upon the earth. Powerful insight. Give because you can. Because God gives to you exactly that way. Do you think God has a reason for giving to you anything? Do you think that things are withheld for you, or from you, I should say, for special reasons, as though you're a sinner or there's something deeply wrong with you? No. Things come into our life, and things are not allowed into our life because of the way we are inside of ourselves. When we are thinking more about what we can get than who we are and what we are as a spiritual being, we block everything that could potentially happen to us. Ask yourself this question. As a person, how much is possible to a person like you with the way you think? How do you confine your life to giving and receiving? Do you only give as much as you think you will receive? Do you only give because you think you will receive? Do you withhold your giving because it seems so illogical and stupid to give? Those whole attitudes have a lot to do with our ability to be a possible person. A possible person is a person who says yes to life. A possible person is not arguing with life, saying, I should only give this and not this, or I should only give this much and not this much. The universe, God, and life are always saying all things are possible. It is only our attitude, being locked in our ego and our mind, that makes it impossible for us to give. We make ourselves impossible by saying, I can't give because it doesn't fit my logic, it doesn't fit my reasoning. Gibran is right. When we give of our possessions, we give very little. It is when we give of our hearts, of our true self, that we give truly to life. And the reward to life is the beauty of giving, not because of merit and not because of reward, but simply because I can. I'll be back in a moment with some how-tos. Don't go away. Welcome back to Aspire. I'm standing here at the Del Mar racetrack looking at all these empty seats. And very soon they're going to be filled with a lot of people who think that their fate lives in something outside of themselves. Just think, most of these people think that they can bet a little and gain a lot. Give a little, get a lot. It's one of the great fallacies of human consciousness. And in my opinion, it's one of the things that causes a great deal of strife, pain, suffering, even war in the lives of all of us. We're obsessed with the idea of trying to get more and give a little. I can't stress enough to you the importance of giving. It's not that giving itself is important, it's the consciousness that is behind it, as Gibran is trying to say to us. He's saying that we give little when we give of our possessions. It's that when we give of ourselves that we truly give, and his teaching is very pure and perfect, and it's just like the teachings of a Buddha, a Jesus, or a Lao Tzu. They're all saying the same thing. If I give my possessions to get some merit for it, or to get credit for it, or a tax deduction off of it, I'm not giving. It's a bartering, it's a bet. And that's all our giving has basically been, is a bet. Let me tell you what true giving is all about and why we do it. We don't give to get, and we don't give to be charitable, and we don't give to be good people. We give to break the consciousness of our ego, because our ego is very cunning, and giving really gets to the core of the ego, because the ego only wants to make you feel as though you are benefiting from everything that you and I do. And when we are only thinking about how we benefit from what we do, the ego keeps getting bigger and bigger and stronger. And I warn you, the logic and the cunningness of the ego is so sharp, it can make us feel so quote-unquote right about the things that we're doing that we misunderstand what true rightness is, what true life is all about. And isn't it amazing that we will come to a place like this and sacrifice every part of ourselves for something out there, missing who we are within ourselves. We will bet everything just to miss ourselves. This is a whole act of deep futility. You know, I'm not saying that coming to the racetrack's a bad thing either. Obviously, I'm here, and I'm talking to you about something that's very important about yourself. I think the point I want to make to you is that there is nothing out here that can give to you what lives within yourself. When I give, I break the ego. I break the attachment to possessiveness and desire, and all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, I become one with life that is. Do you notice that life has no ego to it? And if Jesus was right by saying that we should be as perfect as God is perfect within us, then that means that we should emulate life a little differently than what we have. Let me give you one of the most beautiful teachings on giving in Gibran's discourse on it. I never want you to forget this. You can forget my words, but don't forget these words. He said to us, "You often say, 'I would give, but only to the deserving.' The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pastures. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish." Please remember that. To withhold is to perish. How often have you and I withheld? What are you withholding now? Are you withholding your understanding? Are you withholding your compassion? I wonder how many of you are withholding your love right now to win some egotistical game with another person or maybe with yourself. When we're playing the game of vengeance and pride, what we are basically doing is withholding. To withhold is to perish. And we lose so much of ourselves by withholding. Don't withhold, give. Give not because of what you will get or what will happen to you. Give because life gives. The trees in your orchard do not judge you. They don't say, well, today you deserved an apple, or today you didn't deserve an apple. All of life just says, take what's there and give back what you can. Give because you can, because you are a part of this life experience. For to withhold is to take us out of life, and to remove us from life is to perish. Very important insight. Let me give you a few how-tos on this. First, don't be worried about what will come to you, how much or how little. Just let things come to you as they need to come. Don't be concerned about gain or loss so much. That's the disease of the mind, being concerned about what's right and wrong, good and bad, gain and loss. Everything can happen to you. All possibilities in life are there for you. All it takes is your attentiveness. And the next thing, just give because you can. And that's all. Not with the idea of merit, not with the idea of what you're going to do for other people and how wonderful you will feel by giving. Just give because you can. Watch your mind struggle with that, agonize over that. Eventually your mind will break and you will begin to delve into your heart, because the deepest way to God is through giving, just because you can. Namaste. I need to tell you something. I'm very jealous. I'm getting more mail about Noelle than I am getting about me. And by the way, those of you who are sending money to Noelle, she's not giving it to the program, so please stop sending the money to her. I'm not getting a percentage of it. Did you enjoy the program on giving? It's a very difficult thing. We were just sitting around talking about giving. One of the common attitudes, I won't read the letter, one of the common attitudes that people have about giving is, why should I give? I've given before and I've given a lot and nothing's happened. You know, the hardest thing to understand about giving is you don't give to get. And I know that's a common attitude. The human mind cannot rationalize giving any other way. You don't give to get, you give because you can. And let me explain what I mean. Life gives to you not because it's going to feel better or life is going to get anything back from you or from anything. Life is a continuum of giving because that's what God is, a continuum of giving. And giving forces us to feel the pain and the suffering of our attachment to ego, to objects and things. And that's why giving is the pain, as Gibran says, the baptism of our pain, because we have to let go of a lot of the very self-centered, selfish attitudes that we have. All of us struggle with giving. Don't give to get anything back. Give because you can. The sheer pleasure of knowing that you have the ability to give a gift and somebody, I don't know who, is going to receive a benefit from it. But if you're worried about who and how many and what's going to happen, your gift is unwholesome, as Gibran says. You and I distill a poison within it, and now the gift isn't a gift anymore. It's a bargain. It's a business deal, and that's not true giving. I know what I'm saying to you is totally illogical, irrational, and hard to swallow, but I'm telling you, it is the ultimate spiritual way. It is to give not for reason, but for heart, just because you can. Just like this one gives because she can. Next week on Aspire, we're going to talk about on work and Gibran's attitude about making work actually a prayer and a meditation, a dance in your living. So do plan to be with us next week as we continue in our series on living the life. Thanks for letting me be with you. Namaste.